Hello and welcome to Pulling the Music Apart. I'm Dave. I'm joined by my siblings Norliah and Russell. As the name suggests, we're here to dissect and analyse music. Right, so today we're going to talk about covers, which are better than the originals. So, Norliah, you first. What do you reckon is a better cover than the original?
Well, I like Johnny Cash's version of Hurt.
Yeah.
And we know who originally sang that.
9 Inch Nails.
That's right.
I think they even acknowledged that it was
Yeah.
Johnny's song.
Yeah. When I first even just saw the video that accompanied the song, the sentiment and the emotion in Johnny Cash's face was just, that song was for him.
Yeah.
I read about Trent Reznor and that particular version of it. When Johnny Cash approached him about it, he reluctantly let him do it because he didn't want him to embarrass himself, make a fool of himself, because he thought he was going to totally screw it up. And then once he heard it, apparently it brought him to tears in a good way.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But we've all seen the video, and it was a sad video. Johnny was clearly terminal, and he recorded a whole lot of his original greats. And if you didn't know better, and you didn't know about 9 Inch Nails, you'd assume it was a Johnny song.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lyrics were so about him.
100%. It was just because of all the, I guess, all the trauma and all the pain and all the ups and downs in his life as he's gone through addictions and failed relationships and all kinds of things. And yeah, I just think that was incredible.
Remember in the clip, his wife was standing behind him.
June Carter, yep.
June Carter, and it was really emotional for her.
Absolutely.
If that one didn't bring a tear when you first saw it, then you are a heartless bastard.
Okay, what's your one, Russell?
I love this one. Both artists have sadly died. The original was written, composed and performed by Prince, and it wasn't a big hit for him by any means, and it was made famous some years later in 1990, I think it was, with an Irish girl called Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
And if you can't get it from that, you'll never get it. Nothing compares to you.
Yeah.
And it was so heartfelt. I mean, she didn't have a lot of hits, really, did she?
Not really, no.
No.
Nothing that was like that.
Yeah. She was,
But once again, that was one of those songs that when you saw her face and her sentiment in the video, and it was just her face. I mean, I don't know how many people could do that with a song. You could just, gives me goosebumps talking about it.
that single tear rolling down her face.
Yeah, because, and as we know, she was also a really tortured soul. She'd gone
Yep.
through a lot of stuff. So she was also able to bring something to that song, that magic to that song that I think only people that have been through that kind of emotional
She was able to
stuff.
deliver it very well. And obviously Prince's songwriting skills are up there. Look, I think any song title which has the number 2 instead of T-O, it's got to be a winner.
And you.
Yes.
Better you.
I think it was, yeah.
He was one of the greatest songwriters too.
He
for his
was.
time.
But retrospectively, if you have a listen to it today, Prince's version, it's a great song. But I think she created the awareness that the song existed.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a number one hit for him.
Yeah, but it just goes to show how much careful, filmmaking can bring out a song.
Yep. Great work, guys.
Okay, my turn.
It's my turn.
My one is Joe Cocker's version of the Beatles with a little help from my friends.
Oh, yeah, God.
I'm not just saying that because, Ringo Starr sang it,
Yeah.
but might have a bit to do with it. But I really think Joe Cocker definitely owned that song when he did it. Only a short time after the original was recorded as well.
That'd be right. It would be only a year or so at best.
I hate to say it, but yet another person who struggled with addiction and you know, he looked like he was in pain a little bit every time he sang. You know, even the way he held his wrist, you know.
Yeah.
He looked like did he have an infliction? Did he have some sort of a problem
No,
with
I think
his
it's
wrist?
just his style.
Yeah, I think that's all he did.
He went into a zone, and his body contorted each time he did it.
Yeah, but it made him special.
Yeah, he certainly was.
I mean, if anybody else did that these days, they wouldn't look so. They would look very special in a different way.
Yeah, well, they'd be cancelled.
Yeah, you could actually we can make it sound more interesting about his condition because you know a good story can always be ruined by the truth by saying no, there's nothing wrong with him. I'm just going to come out with that now. It's an injury he developed when he was a gas fitter in Sheffield, England. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
about the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another story, isn't it? Making up stories.
All right, so let's talk about songs which really capture the moment in movies. I'm going with Tiny Dancer by Elton John. The scene in the movie Almost Famous when they all start singing together on the bus. It's I found it very moving.
Yeah, and was it kind of based around the character that Kate Hudson was playing at that particular time because she was playing the seamstress in the band type of thing, or the groupie?
Penny Lane
Penny Lane, that's
was
it.
the character's name.
Yep.
And I think she made it very clear she wasn't a groupie. She just hung around with the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tiny Dancer would have been way back in about 1971 originally.
Yeah, it was. But I think it was pretty much the movie was set around about the time of the song anyway, even though the movie was done, what, 1990 or 1999 or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep. That was a
But,
pretty iconic movie.
I love that film.
Yeah, because I think it was one of those movies that captured that generation.
Yeah, and I know there was that movie itself. I know we're kind of getting off topic, but loosely based around some truths with, I forgot the guy, the guy who used to write for Rolling Stone magazine. His character was in it, and you know, just
Yeah.
one great line I remember he says in that movie, and they're talking about Jim Morrison. He's nothing but a drunken buffoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he the narrator as well? In the movie, was he like a narrator in a way?
Can't remember. I think it might have. No, I don't remember.
Right.
I think I was drinking at the time.
Right. Okay. It doesn't help.
Okay, there we go. Norliah, what about yours?
Oh, well, you know, I love watching movies, so it's really hard to choose. But I'm thinking I really liked Old Time Rock and Roll when Tom Cruise comes sliding through on the floor. Do, 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 do.
Risky business.
Yeah, risky business.
With his underdacks on.
Yeah, it's just
Y
a
fronts.
memory.
Yeah.
It's one of those good memories from the 80s, you know, before he started jumping up and down on couches, you know, acting like a crazy person. And we didn't know he was a Scientologist.
Well, like sometimes you just got to say, what the?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the only other person that's been able to recreate that scene or character was Alf. He did it, if you remember the show,
yeah.
Alf the Extraterrestrial. Who
The alien.
he loved it too, so he came sliding on the floor when his family was out. It's all about, he had the whole house to himself, so the very first line, just take those old records off the shelf. I'll sit and listen to them by myself, and Alf did the cutest version of that, the Extraterrestrial.
Someone else well known to us who recreated that scene too.
Yeah,
Our
that's
brother.
it. Yeah, brother David. Yeah, I have photographs of him doing it, and yeah, he looks a lot different. It was probably how many years ago now? That would have been.
Oh, I don't know, 40 years ago?
Yeah, a long time ago. Anyway, I've got photos. I've got evidence, which could
post those.
end up creeping onto the social media page that
should
we
hope
have.
so.
I feel like the microphone David was using was a large cucumber.
Sorry, he was using it.
As a microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Too many lines there.
Yeah, I'm a bit uncomfortable with that one. Okay, Russell, what's your song?
Oh, it's an obvious one. it's another classic movie, and I think most of these movies are. Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Oh, yeah.
Twist and Shout.
Yes.
Okay, Beatles song from about 1962-ish.
Yeah.
I think the movie came out in about 1985 or 86. And it was that moment. Obviously, the whole movie was about playing hooky,
Yeah.
taking a day off from school, getting out there with a couple of his mates. One, I think Cam, who was against the idea, but he was a showman. I think he joined a parade or something, or a float or something that was going down
the street,
down the street. And the next thing you know, he's up there holding a mic and working in the crowd singing Twist and Shout.
Yeah, that was a great scene in that movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Do you reckon that's a timeless movie?
Yeah.
You think if kids watched it today, I was 25, 26 when it came out. Do you think 25, 26-year-olds would watch it and enjoy it today?
It depends what the trend is at the moment. You know, is it vintage? I mean, it's got to have a title attached to it. Yeah. So it just, you're talking about early 20s, like there's more interest in things if they're a trend. So actually, if you put it on TikTok, it might take off.
Didn't they include it about 3 or 4 years ago as part of the halftime show for the Super Bowl? Some Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference. Yeah.
I don't remember. But I think, you know, all of these movies we've mentioned take people back to when they're young, you know.
Yep.
So I think who hasn't gone nuts when their parents have gone out? Or who hasn't tried to play truant?
And the other thing too, often the music that they use as a hook in the movie doesn't necessarily reflect that period. The song might be from 10, 20, 30 years prior.
But it reflects a moment in your life when you were young. I think that's the reconnecting theme. Like, because obviously there's, you know, people that are obsessed with musos and they'll follow them everywhere. And
Well, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions or just want to leave a comment, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Pulling the Music Apart. Our next episode's almost ready, so please stay tuned for its release. Until then, keep listening to the music. Thanks for tuning in.